TikTok, it's time to rock. Ladies and gentlemen, we're keeping up with the theme of all things Rolling Stones in honor and in tribute to one of the greatest rock and roll drummers ever that the world's ever witnessed, seen, heard, and listened to, the one and only Charlie Watts. So I look forward to spending some time with these four rat bags, also known as co-hosts, and one in particular who is a guest, who we don't get to see often, but jeepers, when he is on with us, it's a celebration. On the top rung, on the top tier, we have two New Zealanders, myself, and we have, I don't know, he's incognito, so I don't know who he is today. So he's going to have to explain
Blind boy
who he
grunt.
Is. Yeah. I don't know who he is. Who's this guy?
These are my reading glasses.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Is he Jake or Elwood?
Yeah. I definitely know the guys on the bottom rung know who they are. I definitely know that.
Yeah, we're the rat bags. We're the real rat bags down here.
Awesome. Good to see you guys. Good to see you. It's a pleasure as always, the Sunday show. It's been a bit of a marathon for the channel the last few days. We've had a few shows to do. So yeah, lucky we've got the time and this opportunity to do it. So as usual, guys, we've got some usual bits and pieces flowing there on the bottom. If you're new to the channel, you'll see some Instagram accounts that are related to our channel. Please hit those subscribe buttons down on the bottom. I'm going to be doing quick intros on the songs today because we've got Carl with us, and we look forward to Carl's in-depth appreciation and analysis on this album because as you are aware, he is a Stones man.
A Stone man.
Guys, so this album for me, it's an interesting album. I'm not going to say much more than that, other than it has some dichotomies and some contradictions. And that's probably one of the great things about the album. It's definitely a sleeper, I think, for average rock and roll Rolling Stones fans. It's not in the canon as you would appreciate, but it's an episode. It's it's a go-to album for the time. I think that the album was released. It's a reflection of the time. So. As usual, we're going to go through and we're going to talk about what this album means to us, and we're going to do a couple of shout-outs. So, Brad, I think you've got some work to do before we do that, haven't you?
Yes, certainly do. Actually, I want to give a bit of a shout-out to Warren while I've got the opportunity. I think Andrew heard from him today, so, our prayers and thoughts and everything are with you, buddy. I know we keep saying it, but we dedicate this show to you again today, mate. All the good health and moving forward. We hope to have you back in the chat and joining the channel at some point and being cheeky and get up to mischief and be a rat bag like the rest of us.
Yeah, a larrikin or something like that. One of the mates. So that's a good thing. And then we've got Simon's going to do. It's probably a good time, Simon, to do a shout out. I think there's a few people in here waiting to get recognised for that painful thing that they do of hanging out with us for a couple of hours.
We've got Alan. Good morning, Alan. Hope you're good. We've got Stephen Fish. Good morning, Stephen. And we've got Tim Thomas, Charmaine Taylor. We've got that's who we've got at the moment. Somebody also lurking. It could be me. So
you've got 5 people.
We'll let second more people as they come in.
Carl's done a runner. So While we wait for him
Already.
to come back, someone's probably ringing him, to be fair, because he just uses his phone. So while we wait for him to jump on, Brad, you want to tell us, how you discovered this album, what this album means to you, where you situate this album?
Yeah, of course. Look, I've always been a Stones fan. It's one of the albums that a bit of a shout out to one of my school buddies at the time. His name's Luke Foley. His brother was a massive Stones fan. And so I was into the Rolling Stones. I had a singles collection box set. I had all, didn't really have this album in particular, but I knew a few of the tunes from it. And one time my friend put me onto this record and I never looked back. It actually became one of my favorites for a very long time. And I'll obviously, once we get to the song title, once we go through the tracks, I'll obviously explain why. But I can understand that it's not necessarily a favorite for some people, but I resonated with a lot of the material, and obviously when we go through the tracks, I'll mention that. But it brings back a lot of memories. This album, and listening to it this week has been quite good because it's made me really think about the importance of the Stones on music, and really listening to Charlie Watts and the appreciation that I have for him. It just I don't know, it kind of it cemented to me his importance in rock and roll history. And the importance of us doing these shows to obviously acknowledge that and give him the props where he deserves it. Yeah.
Awesome, bro. I appreciate that. I look forward to your rankings as usual, your analysis and keen ear and keen eyesight for details is always appreciated. So this guy with no name, this special guest with no name, can he hear us?
Yeah,
Charlie's Angel.
Yeah, we had a bit of a blackout before.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's no problem, Charlie.
So we're back on. Cool.
We're glad you're back. Yeah. We're glad you're back. So we're
awesome.
keen to find out how you discovered this album and your impressions of this album and where you situate this album in the Stones canon before we get into some songs, please.
Yeah. So I own the album. It often gets panned by the critics because, as we all know, the Stones had that great 5-album run, 4 studios and a live album. But I think there's some really good, strong rockers on there, some good pieces. It's Mick Taylor's last album, so it was a sort of end of an era album. But I mean, not every band's going to make a definitive start to finish great album with every song being amazing. I mean, but I like it, there's some really good nuggets on there that I really treasure. That's about it.
Awesome. I appreciate you giving us that little peek into some of these nuggets that you're going to unfold and unpack for us. Rock Professor, you've got a story for us to tell. What's your impression of the album, and how do you situate it? Where do you situate it?
Well, I mean, I was around and buying records when it came out. So I mean, I've got it when it came out, and very clear memory of the video for It's Only Rock and Roll, with all the foam, and then dressed in sailors' uniforms and stuff, and Charlie Watts disappearing in the foam. So a very clear memory of that as something that I mean, interesting. But I've always loved this record. I've always thought it was a great record. And lots to recommend it. And clearly, I've had it in my collection for eons, and never kind of never not had it as an album. And I think it's probably it's not it wouldn't be the first one I got, but that's probably Exile on Main Street. But it would be in the top 2 or 3 that I probably got, and that's probably the first one I got when it came out. I think I got Goat's Head Suit when it came out, but yeah. So, to be honest, one of my favourites. I've had it on my list for ages. I said the other day I had it on my list for ages to do as an album to do. So
And look, guys, that's why I brought it. I know you mentioned it, Simon, but the reason I jumped it ahead of you getting that pick of it was really because of Charlie, and I felt like
cool.
we needed to address Charlie this week. So
That's fine. I have a list. I have a
I
list of things.
stole it from your list, is what I'm saying.
Oh, well, that's fine. That's good.
I hope you're okay with that.
Yeah. I'm okay with everything.
Awesome, that's brilliant. All right, guys. So it's as you guys have already mentioned. So it's the last album that the Stones did with Mick Taylor, and it was a end of an era, end of a legacy that Carl has mentioned. It's an interesting album from Mick Taylor's point of view because he missed a couple of the early sessions due to health reasons, and he had a few issues during the recording of this album with other band members. So, from his point of view, I suppose it's a album of contrast, but there's a couple of great contributions from him on this album, and obviously we'll talk about that as we go through the album. So it was recorded in 73 and released in October 74, and I think some various sources say that it was ended the recordings in March, April, May. So who knows? Who knows when it was? Interesting too, guys, because I forgot that it was actually the main guts of the album was recorded in Germany. So I forgot that. And it's got that interesting vibe, hasn't it, when you consider some of the songs on the album doesn't sort of give you a German vibe, whatever a German vibe is. No disrespect to anybody watching the show from Germany, but again, we'll talk about this a little bit later on. So, and it's the album, I suppose, where Jimmy Miller is out. Jimmy Miller is out on this album, and Richards and Jagger take over the production. It's the first time that we become aware of their nickname, the Glimmer Twins. So it's the first time that they announced this nickname that they had that was undercover. And it's a name now that we give them affectionately, the Glimmer Twins. So I'm going to sort of wrap up my introduction there. The rock professor is going to talk about the interesting issues around the record cover. This is probably a good time, rock professor, if you want to jump in with the history behind the cover.
Yeah, I could do, yes. It was designed by a Belgian artist called Guy Pilliet. I went on Google and Googled up his how to pronounce his name, and Pilliet seems to be the way. He's as I said, a Belgian painter and illustrator, and he came to sort of prominence because he did a book with Nick Cohn called Rock Dreams, and he did all the illustrations for it. And those illustrations, that kind of painting, kind of realistic paintings of quite debauched work. There was a picture of the Stones in Nazi uniforms and stuff, except for Mick, who was wearing suspenders and stuff. So, they clearly came to, he came to their attention with that. Carl, are you eating something?
No.
What are you rustling in glass?
Is it stats?
I don't know. There's a kind of background noise of stuff.
I think it's static on the mic on your.
Is it your mic on the lapel? Possibly.
I'll take my headphones off. Sorry, can you hear me better now?
Yeah, we don't get the background noise, which is good.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. Okay. It's fine. Is it? So he invited Mick invited Guy to the Munich recording sessions to get some inspiration for the Stones for their cover for Own Rock and Roll, and he painted this picture. Here we are, as we can see. Sorry, apologies for the reflection. I have to make it go away. Here we are. That reflection, which is basically features the Stones as rock deities descending a temple staircase surrounded by young girls and women worshipping in Grecian clothing. Clearly, that's kind of how he saw them at that stage in their career. I guess he's most famous also for doing amongst other things, the Diamond Dogs, David Bowie's Diamond Dogs cover with the dog's genitalia, which had to be airbrushed out. People come up to, if you've got the record with it on, very rare, very, very rare. But so you'd be rich and famous for having it. But yeah, I mean, apparently David Bowie got his done after Diamond Dogs after the Stones, but his Diamond Dogs came out before the Stones for release thing, so he got that first. But so that's a cover designed by Guy Piet.
Yeah, during the course of the rankings, guys, I'll throw up a picture that he based that painting on, and it's kind of, it's. I won't say anything. If you guys haven't seen it, I'll throw it up.
No, I didn't get that. Cool.
But yeah, so right, so we're on to the tracks, guys. So if you can rock me, so a super tight aggressive rocker with a funky groove, and this is the perfect album opener for an album which will prove to us once again the variety of musical influences that the Rolling Stones are very, very good at. Interesting lyrics, and it's lyrics obviously that Mick Jagger is very, very familiar with, so I'm sure that maybe some of the other co-hosts might elaborate on that, and if you guys haven't really listened to the lyrics, they're interesting. Mick Jagger can write a very good set of lyrics. There's a few other songs on here where he falls short of that mark, but on this particular song, in my opinion, guys, he is cracking. Interesting little thing here. So let me just get my notes here so I don't cock this up, because this is pretty interesting. So so Keith Richards plays bass on this one, and to add insult to industry, he even takes the bass solo over in that funky mid-song break. So we don't even know the reasons why Wyman didn't play on this. So I can't find any reason why. I don't know. I'm hoping that maybe the co-hosts here might elaborate a little bit on that. But we know that, don't we, that Keith likes to take over the bass duties, and this is not the first time he's done it. So pretty good job. Not a shabby job. And if you guys were familiar with the show yesterday, you'll notice that these top 2-tier guitar players up here are closet bass players. So we'll recognise that, and we'll give them a pass mark. Guys, I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10. We all appreciate how important an opening song is. And this isn't their greatest opening song, in my opinion, but it's a solid groover and never a skip. Charlie, I should say.
Yeah, great. A great opening song. It is a very straightforward rocker. By now, 74 years familiar with the Stones formula, and they use that formula to this day, which is I assume it's open tuning, great chunky rhythm riffs from Keith, Mick, and for the bass with Keith. I don't know that. Probably goes to show you how versatile. If the feeling's right, Mick may jump on the guitar, or Keith will jump on the bass, or Bill Wyman will jump on some keyboards. It's just what a great band. They can just sort of very versatile. So I'm going to give this song a 9 out of 10. Never a skip, and a great album opener.
Awesome. Brad.
Yeah,
Closet bass player extraordinaire.
For me, this song, I've always loved this track. I sort of think it sets a great mood for the record. It's a great opening track. Let's put it that way for a record. It's got a really killer feel. The guitars, I love the tone of the guitars on this record. And I'll get to it more in a couple of the other tracks. There's some awesome playing on the song by the whole band. I mean, I'm going to highlight Charlie because of his recent passing, and I think he needs some props. His drumming on it is phenomenal. It's right in the pocket. I like the atmospheric sort of sound. It's got that to me, it captures that essence of that era for me. It's got a catchy melody. I love the swagger in the song. The middle section into the solo is pretty darn good. I think Mick's singing really strong. There's some great BVs throughout. I'm not going to muck around. I'm going to give this 10 out of 10 and never a skip. Simon.
Yeah. I like as you say, Charlie Watts, great stuff. Great, not flashy, but propelling the song on in a way that only he can. I like the wah-wah guitar as well, wah-wah and lead guitar thing that goes on. That's really cool. And so sort of guitar interplay. Yeah, you're right. It has that kind of, it's like a Stones template song in many ways, isn't it? Which is good. I always thought it was a great opener. 9 out of 10 for me. Never skip. Absolutely excellent.
Yeah, good work, Andrew.
Okay, so Ain't Too Proud to Beg. So the Stones do the Temptations, guys, in a somewhat unexpected cover of, the band's 66 hit. You got Keith Richards, guys, doing those slashing chords, which he is renowned for by this time.
Slashing chords.
Yeah, and it gives that's the influence of the song. I think that slashing chord thing that Keith does. And apparently, guys, according to my research, Mick Taylor's nowhere near to be seen on this song. So Keith does the solo. It's not his best solo, in my opinion. It's an interesting solo. And I'm going to be truthful with you guys. I think it falls between two chairs. Some days I like the song. It's a radio song, so it was there in the back of my mind with Honky Tonk Woman and Tumbling Dice before I even knew the album. So from that radio mind perspective, it's a great song. But in the context of this album, it's interesting. Weird selection for number two on this album. I don't, again, I think this, and there's a couple of points I'm going to point out during the course of some other songs. I think it's a reflection of the inexperience that the Rolling Stones had at this point when it came to production. Certainly they could prove themselves musically and musicianly, and yeah, but I think this is probably the first slip where they miss a solid production direction. So I'm going to give this, guys, 7 out of 10. Carl.
Yeah, it's an interesting song, interesting choice. What I can take from this being having a lot of Stones albums is, I think a big part of them is paying homage to their musical idols or favourites. So, for example, they did the Harlem Shuffle, and I think on the Dirty Work album. The original's always usually better, but it just goes to show you once again how versatile the Stones are, that they can do an R&B cover. They did it quite well. It's listenable. And I mean, an interesting place in the album. It should have been maybe song number 4. But hey, it is the Stones. I can see where they're coming from. They're paying homage to their musical influences. Quite a good feel. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, and I can understand where they're coming from with this particular song. No, I think overall it's very listenable. That's it.
Yep. Yeah, I get where it's coming from. Yeah, I get it. Brad.
I haven't got a massive amount of notes on this particular song. It's not one of my favorite. I'm not going to say it's a bad cover, but I'm not a big fan of the original song, to be honest with you. That's kind of, I know that sounds that might upset a few people. So look, Mick's got that swagger vocal style. That's the thing I like about the Stones. He always had something which we'll touch on as we get forward. He always adapted a certain style to suit the song, and I think he did it in this song in particular. It's a nice guitar and piano sort of throughout the song, and especially at the start. The double time drumming from Charlie, props to Charlie. The solo is pretty simple, works for the song. Infectious sort of melody. I mean, it's a catchy song. It makes you want to sing along, but I mean, the context of the record, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It's not necessarily a song I'd play to someone to represent the Stones, in my opinion.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Originally, they planned to record Dobie Gray's "Drift Away" instead of this. And it only did it as kind of last minute thing. I think I'd done. Apparently, Paul McCartney takes credit for introducing Mick to the song, and he says there were 2 songs I turned Mick onto that the Stones have done. One was "She Said Yeah," the other was "Ain't Too Proud to Beg." I not sure Mick agrees, but he distinctly remembers having him up in a little music room and playing it to him, and he loved it, and he went and did it. Yeah, Billy Preston on the track, giving it kind of that funky clavinet feel, and it sort of a bit sort of Stevie Wonderish. Yeah, it's an interesting choice for a song. Do you know what? It reminds me of, in my old band, we would have done it like this. This is how, and we did some other kind of, we did a song called "Get Ready," and it very much like this, very much in a kind of Stonesy style. So I have a kind of affinity to it as a song and as a way of doing a cover, really. I mean, clearly, the Stones started off as an R&B covers band, really, and so I feel this is kind of going back to their roots in some ways. It did covers of other songs. My assumption is that they sort of put it in here because it's sort of bright, upbeat, kind of, as you say, radio-friendly song, and I think they, it has a contrast to what came before, and I think they're looking to, say this is an album of, of different things. It's not just a blues album or whatever, because as we move into the 70s, the Stones are kind of building up this template, as you said earlier. So, I really like it. I think it's, I think it's a really cool second song, and I've never not liked it. I'll give it an 8 out of 10, and I wouldn't skip it. As it's just fun.
Awesome. So, guys, we're up to the 3rd song. So, this is an example of the wonderful sloganeering that the Rolling Stones have done for rock and roll. It's only rock and roll. God, I like it. You can't get a better slogan than that, can you? And typically the Rolling Stones give it to us. And interestingly enough, it's the song that we see the entrance of the young fellow, the young boy on the block, Ronnie Wood, who apparently is responsible for writing bits of the song with Jagger. Interestingly enough, too, it's a song that Mick Taylor didn't apparently appreciate, and so he's nowhere to be seen on this. So, again, this is some deep dive stuff that we're going to probably get later on. I can't remember why, but I do know that he wasn't involved in this. What else am I going to say, gentlemen? Simon the Rock Professor mentioned the bizarre weird video attached to this. It's just this tent filled up with this, so I tried to do a bit of research as to why they've put themselves, and the Rolling Stones can take the piss out of themselves better than any other band, because only Englishmen are going to dress up like women and get away with it. Americans can't do it, but Englishmen, they can pull it off. And sailor suits, you know. But apparently they turned up and they didn't want to get their street gear wet and soapy. So the wardrobe people said, "Oh, we'll get you guys some costumes," and came out with some sailor suits. So I don't know. I don't know if that's truthful or not, but that seems to be the consensus of the research I've done. Look, it's in the rock and roll canon, isn't it? For Rolling Stones song, it's up there. It's in their top 20, top 10, top 50, certainly, for good reason. I'm going to give the song a 10 out of 10, if only for the title. If only for the title. Carl.
Yeah, no, interesting story. So at that particular time, Keith was spending a bit of time with Ron Wood. Ron Wood was obviously still in the Faces, and Mick Taylor was still in the Stones band. But Ron Wood owned a house called The Wick, and I think Ron Wood had this amazing rhythm section staying at his house called The Wick, and he invited Keith over, and Keith said, "Honey, I'll be home tomorrow night." And as rock stars do, he returned home 3 weeks later. But it was but the sessions were great because Keith was doing a lot of riffing, a lot of jamming, and resulted in the birth, as Keith and Mick would say, especially Keith, with the songs start out as babies and they grow. The baby was basically birthed at Ron Wood's house, the actual backing track, which they kept for the actual final song. As far as the song's concerned, what a heavyweight song. A true rock song, a great chorus sing-along for concerts, a fan favourite, a concert favourite, one of my favourites. I can never get tired of listening to it. Monster guitar solo from Keith in the vein of Chuck Berry. The only disappointing thing about the song, there's a lot of guitar overdubs, and they can't quite capture that magic live. Still a great song to hear live. But it is very much not an overdone, but a gorging studio song. They basically gorge themselves. They're layered tracks, great rhythm track, just a great song. And it's just from the opening intro, this opening slur, to this, like Brad mentions, the swagger of Mick singing, the strong rhythm section, the very grunty guitar solo. 10 out of 10, 5 stars, one for the ages. Thank you. Never a skip.
Awesome,
Carl. That was a good analysis. Thank you. For me, I mean, not much needs to be said more than what it's already been said, other than I love this track. It's a catchy song. The band is cooking. I love all the leaks, the solo, the breakdown section. The bits where it's like, it's only rock and roll, but I like it. And then when it sort of breaks down, I just love the BVs in that section where it's like the coolest thing ever for me. You can't help but want to sing along with this song. It's an absolute Stones classic. I reckon they've probably performed it in every sort of show they've ever done. I'd say I'm not sure about factual point of that, but I don't think they would get away without doing a gig without doing this song. So for me, it's a 20 out of 10. It's a 10 out of 10, 20 out of 10. Never a skip. And it's one of those songs that you would play to a person that does not know the Stones as an example of how good they were.
Yep.
You know,
absolutely,
for sure. Yeah. Just a bit more meat on the bones. The original rhythm section is Willie Weeks and Kenny Jones from the Small Faces on drums.
Yes, and there was a
David
rumor
Bowie on backing vocals.
I was going to say there was a rumor that David Bowie had something to do with it, but thank you for clarifying that. Yeah,
I think David Bowie was on backing vocals too, and they kept the original rhythm track. I don't know if they kept David Bowie's track, but they kept the rhythm track too, and as you say, went to town on it in the studio. I also read that when Jagger sings "If I Could Stick a Knife in My Heart," suicide right on the stage, he can, referencing other people like Mark Bolan and Alice Cooper who did suicide bits as part of their stage theatrics. So it's kind of, and also a light-hearted prod to journalistic, anti-journalistic sort of thing as well. But as you said, it's got that kind of Chuck Berry thing about it, but done through the Stones grinder. It comes out the other side. I mean, it's one of the Stones' great songs for me. I've always loved it. As a song, it's got that kind of tremendous swagger to it that only the Stones can muster up, I think, as a rock and roll band. Unique swagger to it. It's a 20 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. Absolutely. Top of the class for this.
Brilliant.
Awesome. Appreciate that.
Before we go on, I'm just going to say good morning to Helen Winter, Jazz Thunder 50, Johnny Heartbreaker. Good morning, guys. Thanks for joining. And Arvin. Morning, Arvin. Crappy Luxury. Morning, Crappy. And Pride of Gothenburg. Philip Byers, Tim Thomas. So, yeah, thanks, guys, for joining. Cool. Andrew, sorry.
No problem. Till the next goodbye. So the first ballad of the album, and it's, in my opinion, an overlooked, and it's a lovely song. It features Mick Taylor and Mick Jagger on acoustic guitars, and I got contrary information on who was playing the slide. Some articles and references saying it's Mick Taylor, and some are saying it's Keith. So, and I can't discern it. So I'm gonna say it might be Keith. But I'll be interested to see what my co-hosts say about it. Interesting lyrics, isn't it? You know, again, it's one of the great things that Mick Jagger has as a musician, is his ability to paint pictures with words. He's a master at it. And also it's a song clearly guys in the great vein of Wild Horses, isn't it? It's a reflection of the Rolling Stones' ability to portray some kind of country aesthetic kind of feeling that they have within themselves as a core group. I love it. It goes back to Beggar's Banquet. It's a driving part of the band that I think gets overlooked. I've mentioned the horrible video that they did for the previous song, but if you guys go on YouTube, and you'll see that Mick Jagger sings this song, he's sitting down rather than awkwardly prancing about with the guitar, and I think the video is much better for it. But I do have a but, guys. I'm going to tell you this. I think the production of the song is horrible. It's horrible, and I'll tell you why it's horrible. Because the vocals are buried. And it's unusual for a Rolling Stones song. In the past, they've been able to have and I don't know what the term is, and Monday we'll get a famous music producer on here besides Brad to tell us how it's done. But I don't like the vocals, and the vocals are buried under the guitars, which is unusual for the Rolling Stones, and it's in my opinion the first glaring production mistake on the album, and because of that, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. If they'd got the vocals a little bit more forward. Front of house, I think, is the term, Brad. That's best describing the thing that I'm trying to picture. But I don't like where the vocals are. It's horrible. It's buried. So, Carl.
Yeah. No, I guess getting back to Ain't Too Proud to Beg. I mean, the Stones can't do every song in that rock and roll. If you can't rock me, it's only rock and roll vein. So they've got to obviously put some nice ballads in there, and they've proven to be great ballad singers. Angie and
Sure.
Various songs on Sticky Fingers and Exile on Main Street. I think it's personally quite a weak song. It's probably in the vein. Mick Jagger probably had a lot to do with writing the song. When you mention Mick Jagger, he does great imagery with his lyrics, so it's very New Yorky sound, very American, hence the coffee shop on, is it 51st or 52nd Street? So he's obviously painting a picture. Ballady, 52nd, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can see where they're coming from once again. They're great songwriters. It just, unfortunately for me, it does miss the mark. I would skip it. Generally I do skip it on the album. And I'm going to give it. I mean, it's very listenable. It's Stonesy, ballady. Andrew mentioned a bit of a country vibe. That's what I get from it. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10, and I would skip it.
Good.
Okay.
Time out.
I'm going to sort of maybe throw a spanner in the works here. I think it's a nice acoustic opening. I think it's a very heartfelt delivery by Mick Jagger. I understand what you're saying, though, Andrew, about the mix, but there's certain things on all Stones records to me that sometimes the mixes aren't quite where they should be from a audio perspective. But seeing past it, I think it's for the record they wanted to change gears a little bit, and I think what they did is quite smart. I mean, you've come in with like 3 songs that are fairly up tempo. They've come in with a song in the context of a record where they've shifted gear a little bit. Very simple, catchy song. There's some great BVs in it, and I really enjoy it. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10, and I wouldn't skip it.
No, and neither would I. I mean, I think this is, this is a really cool ballad, isn't it? In the same place as Wild Horses and Angie and things. It's not as good as those songs for sure.
No.
And I think that's absolutely right. But in the terms of the context of the album, I think it's the right place to have a ballad. A slow acoustic song. I think it's great. I think it's got a great melody. I do think it's got a great melody. If the Stones can do anything, they can write a great melody.
Yep.
Reasonably complex song. They get all the right things in. They've got a nice melodic side guitar in it, piano, acoustic guitars. The drums really, restrained and do it, enhance the song. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10, and I wouldn't skip it. You know me. I'm strong on how albums work as the flow, the ebb and flow, and I think that this is the perfect place for this song, and it's a good song, and yes, absolutely, so 8 out of 10 for me, and never a skip.
Yeah, I wouldn't skip it either. It's not my favorite song, but it's it's overlooked. It's a song that's overlooked, and when I first became aware of it in the context of the album, I was quite surprised by it. So it's one of those songs that you find and you go, oh yeah. But upon listening to it in preparation for the show, guys, I'm going to stand by the production value of it. So that gets us, gentlemen, up to Time Waits for No One. And gosh, what can we say about this song? There are 2 mid-70s songs that the Rolling Stones have given us. This is one, and the other one is Winter. And the mid-70s are cooking because of just 2 songs. This is one of the greatest rock and roll songs ever, and probably in my top 3 Rolling Stones songs. I love the song. It's beautiful. When I became aware of the facts surrounding the Rolling Stones, it's a bittersweet song, isn't it? Because it was the song that perhaps paved the end of Mick Taylor moving out of packing his bags and departing from the Rolling Stones. And I'm sure a couple of my co-hosts here will elaborate a little bit more on that story. Brad will back me up on this, and Simon and Carl, because I know that they've got Stratocasters. I know that they love Stratocaster tones. The guitar solo on this is remarkable. I want to swear, but I can't because this is a family show. I just adore the song. I can't say anything more than that. And I'm going to Brad score this. And if you buy the album for one song, it's the song. It's in there. stratosphere. It's 100 out of 10. Never a skip. And it's, as you guys know, it's one that we're going to play to the aliens. Brad. Oh, Carl.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's one of my favourite songs. It starts out beautiful minor chord progression. Mick Taylor's solo at the end is one of the greatest solos of all time. I definitely want to mix Taylor's shining moments, a great swan song for him. It reminds us how great he was, the crescendo, how it builds up, how he tastefully places all the licks. Very centenary, very drenched in reverb, beautiful. Beautiful songwriting, beautiful tempo. Just one of the greatest unknown Rolling Stones songs. You don't see it, unfortunately, on compilations, but true fans know it and true fans love it. And it's up there with, it's a heavyweight of a song. And a great farewell to Mick Taylor, because it's one of his finest moments, if not the finest moment, up there with obviously Sympathy for the Devil solo and the Get Yayos Out. I'm going to echo Andrew. It's a 20 out of 10, never a skip. And it just what a swan song, what a finale from Mick Taylor, and it's just one for the ages again.
Yeah, that's a good analysis, guys. For me, I guess this is one of the highlights on the record, and one I always go back to. The song evokes thought to me. It makes me sort of think about things. And that's what wonderful songwriters have got the ability to do. And it's a wonderful, wonderful guitar playing. I'm not sure exactly the effect that's on the guitar as well. I think it might be a phase 90 with a slow sweep. I'm not sure. One of the MXR phase pedals. It's beautiful. I love the guitar tone, the melody.
It's, can I interrupt you, bro? It's apparently it's called a synth hi-fi guitar effects synthesizer.
Okay.
And I couldn't find anything on that.
Well, there you go.
I might have been wrong about the reverb.
Fairly unique. Yeah, it's fairly unique tone anyway. For me, I was trying to identify what it was, and I'm glad you brought that up. But I thought it sounded similar to like an MXR like phase pedal with the sweep, like really wide open, sort of slow, not like a fast phase, really wide and slow. That's what it sounds like to me. That might be a good idea if you're trying to emulate that. Try that. Yeah, beautiful vocal melody. I'm a songwriter. I love people who write beautiful melodies in songs. So the two things that I love about songwriting is ones that evoke thought and melody in a song. And that to me is captured perfectly in this song. This song, the Stones always write hooks and catchy things in songs. And this song is very catchy. There's some wonderful piano playing as well. I love the ascending guitar line in the solo, and the outro solo is fantastic. You get lost in it. You kind of forget where you're at during the song, and for that, I'm going to give it 20 out of 10, 100 out of 10, whatever. 20 out of 10, never a skip.
Brilliant.
Well, guys, I can enlighten you, because I know what a synthy is. It's called a synthy hi-fly. And it looks like this. That's what it looks like. David Gilmour's. It's just very. I know about this because it's made by a company called EMS, who made the VCS3. I was rabbiting on about the VCS3. My dad's association with EMS and stuff as a company. They made the one, the Pink Floyd one that goes to all of that. Yeah. And so he clearly had one of these, because it has, I can't really see, but has various effects on it. I mean, it's just it's a precursor to whatever, your pedal board on the floor type thing, but in a sort of, it's got modulation, attack, decay, various effects that you can put your guitar through, especially with a guitar. So it's, there we are. I thought I recognised it as a thing. My dad had a couple of them. I don't know whether it's still in his studio, but I agree with you. I think this is one of the best songs on the album. It's mid-tempo. You know, this is the kind of thing that the Stones pull out, don't they, at their best? I think it's you know, Mick Taylor said that it's his favourite Stones song in terms of his own guitar playing, and he kind of describes it a bit Carlos Santana like. I'm not quite sure I get that particularly, but it's definitely not a blues solo, is it? That kind of beautiful ascending guitar line. Do you know what the thing I like about it most is that's what I would have played on it. Which I can't say that very often, but that ascending guitar line is I could play that and I understand it completely how it works. It's yeah, it's funny when you find something and think I play that all the time. I'm sure I picked it up unconsciously.
Here we go. These Englishmen, just because an Englishman plays something, every Englishman says that they can do it. Oh my gosh.
No, most things I can't do, but this particular, just recognised it straight away. It's like, oh, that, yes, oh, I gotta get that. Unlike so many other things.
Just thank God we don't have photos of you wearing pink pants.
There are no photographs of me wearing pink pants. I've never had a pair of pink pants. Fortunately, when I was young, there weren't even cameras. You know, it cheers you up no end as a thing. But apparently Mick Taylor left. Part of the reasons because he didn't get a writing credit on this and other songs, which is a bit sad. But it's a 10 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. One of the great tracks on this record. One of the great Stones tracks. I just say that "Time Waits for No Man" is a play on the old proverb "Time and tide wait for no man," which has been around for hundreds of years. And and the lyrics are really, really good. About the passing of time. Apparently, Jagger just passed 30 when he wrote this, so he's obviously feeling in a sort of reflective mood. So I think we could say, without too much cheek, that there's a reflection of passing 30 in this song. But yeah, 10 out of 10. Never a skip from me. Classic.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. Thank you, guys. I think your insight and analysis of the song's wonderful, and it's one of the great things about participating on the show with you guys, because you can pick up on some great things. It's a song that I could never understand, Carl and Brad and Rock Professor Waltz, not on compilations. Yeah, so we can just be thankful, I suppose, that it's at least on this album and we've got it. Guys, so we're on to luxury, and we're not talking about crappy luxury here, by the way.
It's named after crappy luxury. It's in all the books.
Oh, okay.
It's in all the books.
A foray into reggae. A foray into reggae. Jeepers, Englishmen can sometimes
very
pull it
good.
Off, but yeah, sometimes English guys can pull it off, and reggae is English too. Let's be fair. You don't have to be a Martian to play reggae. Clapton did it really well, didn't he, guys? On Bob Marley's. Yeah, there's great examples of it. Oh boy. I'm not going to say anything about this song. Other than you got some crunchy guitar work from Keith. I'm gonna get myself into trouble. I'm gonna give this song a 6 out of 10, and I skip it. It's a skip. It's a skip for me.
Ooh, that's a potential timeout there, Andrew. Naughty corner.
sagebrush moment.
It's definitely one of the weaker songs on the album. It's not that memorable. True, the Stones being as good as they are, they do. It's a good song. It's just not a great song. So for me personally, if I'm listening to the albums from side to side, I would definitely skip it. It just doesn't move me, doesn't groove me. But that being said, I mean, it's not a bad song. It's just not a great song. So a 6 out of 10 and a skip.
Go, Brad. Come on.
I don't know what to say.
These New Zealand blokes, honestly. You're a long way for the Caribbean, man.
I'm gonna start wanting to divorce the correlation between New Zealand and Australia soon.
They're on the left, we're on the right, we're all good.
This show's a laugh. At least we have a laugh on this show, huh?
Oh, good, tremendous. Look at that, with his tongue out. That's not showing contrition, Mr. Walton.
It's the most polite thing that the show could ever portray.
Yes, Mr. Potty Mouth, yes.
You know, I'm quite proud of you, Andrew. You kept the potty mouth at bay, which is good.
Yeah, good. Well, good work.
Yeah. Just so you know, listeners, we give Andrew quite a hard time about his potty mouth, and we say you're not allowed to talk like that online. So he gets it all out backstage, and then when he comes on and he acts and behaves himself, and as soon as
blinding all over the place,
there, he just lets it all out again. Just starts yelling.
It's like a dam, isn't it? Waiting to burst.
All right, luxury. Swaggering guitars, great dual vocals. The vocal melody is really catchy. Nice solo. You know, I like the timekeeping, the percussion, the kick drum sort of thing. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I don't skip it. I think it deserves the place on the album. Simon.
Do you know what? I agree. I like this. I think it's that kind of heavy guitar, isn't it? A kind of rock guitar, but kind of chopped in a reggae style kind of thing. Apparently, it's as most of their previous album, Go to Soup, was recorded in Jamaica, but you can see where the influence comes from a bit. But and I like it. I think the cod Jamaican accent that Jagger sings in is quite funny as a thing. I don't think you could probably get away with that now. But I mean, I think of it in the in the same context as things like 10cc. What's it called? I Don't Like Reggae, I Love It song. It's a kind of bit of mid-70s kind of history with British groups playing with the reggae thing a bit, and I think to a certain extent the Stones is a bit of a precursor here, and Keith did some more of it, didn't he? He played with Peter Tosh, and these sort of influences clearly break into thing. I really enjoy it as a song. I think it's fun. I find the cod Jamaican accent quite amusing, but it's got good melodic guitar solos and stuff. So I give it an 8 out of 10, and I wouldn't skip it either.
Awesome.
Look, as we crack apart, the band is cracking. Musical differences.
Dance, little sister. Sorry, Brett.
I was just about to say something. I think the right-hand side of the screen is very different to the left-hand side of the screen. So the New Zealanders are not in the UK. It's like that at the moment. It's a bit of a divide.
No argument.
Majority rules, brother.
No
Aussies,
argument.
New Zealanders, rest of the world.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, Dance Little Sister. So we got another song that's rooted in the Caribbean, with its reference to Frederick Street, which is the main street of the port Port of Spain, the capital of Trinidad and Tobago. But this time, there's no concession, guys, to any Caribbean reggae musical influences. So again, one of the great things about the Rolling Stones, they can take something without actually falling into that whole musical aspect of the topic or the situation or the locality or the area. So yeah, very interesting. Smart move by the Rolling Stones. You got Keith's gritty, distorted guitar leads the band right through a full throttle, grinding, heavy rock rave up. Look, I love the song. It's an entertaining piece of nothingness in my mind. You know, it's not one of the great rave rockers, but for this album, it's fantastic. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Carl.
Yeah, I agree. The tone and the drive and the crunch of that rhythm's amazing. It's really, it's the standout piece of the actual song. Mick's doing very energetic vocals. It's a great rocker. It's a great driver. Then on the negative side, though, I feel like it's missing a coda or a bridge. I mean, they switched up a little bit towards the end, but it's a fraction repetitive for me. I think it could have been a great song. It's got all the ingredients of a great rocker. I wouldn't say I was rushed. I just think that they were just happy with the end product. I mean, I like it. I listened to it this morning from start to finish. It would probably wear on me a little bit. That's why it's not a great song. Hey, it's a great gym song, great party song, great. I'm not sure if they do it that much at concerts. It's a great morning song. Get out of bed. Yeah, it's got good energy. It's just missing something for me. However, I still like it. 8 out of 10, never a skip.
Cool. I love the song. The drums, the bass, the guitars. It's like, they're all in sync with each other in this song. The vocals are great. There's a very catchy melody. You can't help but want to sing along with it, in my opinion. It's just one of those songs. It is repetitive. I agree with you, Carl. I think that's a thing the Stones did regularly, though, and I think they did it deliberately with anything that they thought might be a sing-along for a concert. Like in a concert, when they were doing a gig, they would think that the crowd would just sing along with them and they could stretch it out for. I could picture if they played this song. I'm not sure if they played this very often or not live, but maybe when they wrote it, they thought that this would be a stadium classic and everyone would sing along with them for 10 minutes, like just stretch it out forever. But they're very smart, the Stones. They wrote hooks, they wrote things, and they repeated them. It's like embedding it into the people's brains all the way through the song. Great solo. Breakdown's pretty cool. I love the interweaving guitar licks as well. I gave it a 10 out of 10. Never a skip.
Awesome,
yeah,
brother.
It's which one is to kind of got that barroom crowd pleaser thing, isn't it? I mean, absolutely that thing about, and I know this other bands, you'll write a song to do a particular thing in a gig, for instance, and I think that, that thing about being able to sing Dance Little Sister in a gig, and hold your microphone out and get the crowd to sing along is could easily be part of this as a thinking to ourselves, on the album we need something that the crowd can sing along to, and I think that's not a bad thing. Yeah, so great song for me. I like the typical machine gun snare work from Charlie, that that he does. That is on "Get Off My Cloud," for instance. Is that he has this, he does the same thing here. Great solo, like the solo a lot, and just a special mention for the thing that they do as well as anybody. They do dropouts really well, don't they? The Stones, drop everything out. Just have drums and a little bit of guitar interjections from probably Keith. And then they come back in. But they just have this kind of little drop down section. We're just Charlie just playing some drum. And I like that a lot. I think that's really cool. I think it's one of the things that we talk about a lot on here. They listen with their ears, you know, and so that was fine. So it's a 8 out of 10. Never a skip from me. Really good.
Awesome, guys. Awesome. Appreciate it. We're getting there. So if you really want to be my friend, so how many times have we said that to people? If you really want to be my friend, you've got to do this.
You've got to love the Stones in the same way as me. Good morning,
Yes.
Deja
So ballad number 3 on the album. But this time we've got a bluesy feel going on here, haven't we? Very reminiscent of the Derek and the Dominoes classic Bell Bottom Blues. You've got Jagger appealing to his partner to try and help repair their relationship before it's too late, leading to questions about whether or not it's referencing Bianca, who he married 3 years earlier. Who knows? You know, maybe. You know, there's enough there to hint. Maybe there could be. It's certainly passioned, impassioned. What's the word? Passioned? Passioned. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Impassioned.
You know, I love that Clapton-esque guitar solo around that 3.5 minute mark by Mick Taylor. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to pass it over to my co-hosts and see if they agree or disagree with my references there to Clapton and Derek and the Dominoes. I'd be interested. I'm going to give this 9 out of 10. Love the song. What's the word, Carl? It's a deep groove.
Deep cut.
Yeah. I'm going to agree. I mean, I think it's a stronger ballad than the previous ballad. Till next time, till the next goodbye. I like it. I could. It's very much 2 or 3 in the morning sort of vibe for me. It's got a bit of a catchy sort of barroom sing-along feel to it. Drowning in your sorrows, looking at an empty glass, hoping the barman won't close. It is, you know, the Rolling Stones are great at imagery. I mean, it's got a great feel as far as, you know, someone, you know, a romance vibe, losing romance in a bar in the city, rain coming down, you know, a quarter in your pocket, making that go to the payphone, trying to get that girl back in your life. I like it. I think it's a strong ballad. 8 out of 10, never a skip.
Yeah, I have to agree with you guys. This is it's a really good song. Some really lush guitars, nice guitars all round. I feel when the band kicks in, it's got that really cruisy vibe, sets the mood perfectly for the song. I love the breakdown. The electric guitars sound fantastic. I agree with you, Andrew, in the Eric Clapton reference. I can hear that there. It's definitely whether it's consciously or you know, or whether it was deliberate, they channeled that somehow. I'm not sure. Maybe you guys can clarify this for me or not, but the electric guitar sounds, especially in the breakdown, sound like it's like a Leslie effect that's pretty fast, or a vibrato sort of style pedal.
It's nice. It's neat. Yeah, there's definitely a quite a thickness to it, in a very wah-wah sound.
Yeah.
Like a Leslie.
Yeah, and it gives it that texture that, I mean, it gives it depth. And I picture music in colors, and I see all these different colors when I'm hearing that effect, which is really, really cool. Some really cool bass playing on it. The piano is really classy. I think the guitar solo is timeless. It's like perfect for the song. I'm going to rate it 10 out of 10, and I never skip. I actually listened to that song twice today on my last listen through because I loved it so much the first time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great song. One of the slower songs now. It's I'm going to invoke the song Freebird on this. I think there's I think that's the thing about about having a girlfriend who the singer loves, but she's interfering with his rock and roll lifestyle. I think I can't stay around. I'm as free as a bird. But it's that I have that kind of thing about it. And also, it's got quite similar chords to Freebird as well. That G to F sharp to E, and then to C, and then to D, and then doing it differently the second time around.
Yeah, cool.
Where's he gone?
Oh, he's dropped out. So while he's busy jumping back in, everybody, we're going to say thank you very much for hanging out with us. Don't forget to hit the subscribe buttons, and on the bottom there, you're going to see some Instagram accounts. If you guys haven't already done that, please follow us there. Check Brad, especially his stories. Got to go to his stories. You want to get the gold? Want to get the gold? Want to get the gold shots?
Yeah. I haven't got a
the
story up at the
stories.
moment, so once I finish this, I've been a bit busy today. But once I get to the end of this show, I'll start sharing some stuff. And we share stuff in the stories deliberately to get you guys to interact with what we're doing here on the show. That's our way of knowing that you're interacting with us, because we can actually see in the stories who's bloody looking. So
Awesome. Simon,
Simon,
you're
you were in the
professor.
middle of something.
Sorry, yes, I got hoofed out. They mentioned the word Freebird clearly. You'd have to elbow me out. Yes. I thought it was like a tremolo guitar rather than Leslie, but it's I think again the use of the drop down, taking the drop out and just having an acoustic and an organ and backing vocals. Great backing vocals by the Philly soul group Blue Magic, and I think there's definitely that Gamble and Huff Philly sound in there. Very kind of smooth sounds, and the way they interact with Jagger is very kind of, I hear the Detroit Spinners in there or something like that, and Detroit Emeralds and stuff, that Gamble and Huff thing that they used to do. So 10 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. Really great song. I love it. And it's kind of, the Stones make it their own, and yeah, really cool stuff.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Appreciate that. So hold on, guys. What are we up to?
Short and curlies, sir.
Okay. So I'm going to leave one of the other co-hosts to talk about the short and curlies and what reference that might mean. We got a blues influence going on here, haven't we? This time it's boogie woogie, good time rock and roll format, titled, of course, from the expression to have somebody. Okay, no, I won't talk about that. Someone else is going to talk about that. You got Nicky Hopkins on here, or Billy Preston. I don't know. Maybe my co-hosts might be able to dig that one there out.
Got to be Ian Stewart, isn't it?
Ian Stewart, Nicky Hopkins, or Billy Preston.
Well, I think it's. Hold on. It's. Is it track 9? Track 9 is Ian Stewart. So track 9 is Sean. Yeah, it's Ian Stewart playing the piano.
What do you guys think too of the references going back to Under My Thumb? Look, interesting song. It's an interesting song. It's never a skip. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, and I'll be really, really interested to see to hear what Carl has to say about it.
Yeah, there's definitely a quite an interesting blues thing going on. Stones do blues quite well, a bit of a Jimmy Reed thing. There's a bit of a comedy take there, I can feel. I personally was a little bit surprised where it's placed in the album. Unfortunately to me, it's probably one of the weakest songs. It's a throwaway song for me. I don't listen to it from start to finish. I skip it. And not just unmemorable for me, unfortunately. Stones being the Stones, I mean, obviously a tight band, tight song, but just doesn't move me or groove me. So 5 out of 10 and a skip.
Wow. Brad.
Split in New Zealand camp. Oh dear.
Look, in the context of a record, I think it's just second to last song. It's a great little fun song that they threw in there. I think, in the context of certain records, we discuss it. Sometimes they put an extra song in to fill out that time frame on an LP. This is in the era when, you had two sides of an LP, and sometimes if they had a stronger song that was too long, they might have left it off and put this on. I don't know. But for me, it's just a fun little ditty. Obviously, without sort of touching on too much about the song content, I guess it's, we know what it's about. It's basically a woman having power over a man, basically, and having them by the short and curlies. Okay, so I'm not going to say too much more than that because it's a family show. I mean, I really enjoyed it. It's some lovely guitar playing on it. Piano gives it a bit of character. The drumming's great. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I don't skip it. I enjoy it for what it is. It's not a song that I will agree with you guys that I would play to someone who's never heard the Stones before. It's not that type of song. But in the context of the record, I think it's okay. You know what I mean? So that's my analysis anyway. Simon.
Yes, to me this is a complete throwaway song. Really, I think it's sandwiched by two really great tracks. It's a complete sort of throwaway. I think that it's an example of when.
Looks like he's dropping out again.
Coming back again. I was going to say, to me, this is an example of, this is the first time the band produced themselves. Oh, are we going to put it on? It's great fun. And I think that if someone like Glyn Johns had been producing it, would have been, you're not putting that on. You can keep that for the outtakes, mate. That's not going on. I mean, with that song on the side, it's more than 25 minutes. So it's way long for a vinyl record side. So in effect, they could have left it off, and it still would have been long. 23 minutes is long for a vinyl record side. They could have left it off and not had it. As I say, I think it's an example of the band having control. They've done this as a bit of a laugh, as a bit of a thing in the studio, and they've gone, "Oh, that's fun." Go on, Carl. Are they going to say, Carl? We're going to say something.
Carl.
He's got another phone call. No,
Carl.
either still there, Carl. He's not. I'll carry on. He'll come back in a minute. So yeah, it's a 6 out of 10 from me. It's not a skip. I don't skip. It's only 243. But it's very light, very slight song, as I say, and I think it's an example of the band saying, you do something. It's like you were in a band, you do something, and you think it's funny as a band. It's a bit of a laugh, bit of a giggle, and then all of a sudden it makes itself on the record because you think it's a good idea. But I think maybe some outside influence wouldn't put it on if it's the thing. So yeah, 6 out of 10. It's not. I don't skip it. It's too short to skip. But I don't think it really enhances the album. I think you could have easily left it off, and it would have been probably, no one would miss it. I think that's the key thing, isn't it? No one would miss it.
Cool.
So
Carl, are you there?
Sorry, Carl, you were going to say something in the middle of that.
Can you see me? Hear me? Oh, no. I was going to say, Simon, you brought up a good point about a good producer having a third ear, being a director. Having an opinion outside of the musician, saying, "Hey, listen, you really want to think about putting that song on there, or should we try Drift Away by Davey Gray or something?"
Well, yeah. Yeah. Sorry, that's my view of short and curlies.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Yeah, I agree with you. Awesome. So the last track, guys, Fingerprint Files. So the Stones get seriously funky here. No soul, no blues, no rock. This is sheer unadulterated funk. And it's a great example as well for the band who have never really dipped their toes anywhere near this type of music.
Yep.
So Jagger, Richards, Taylor all play guitar on this. You've got apparently Mick Taylor's playing bass, and Bill Wyman does appear, but apparently he's playing some kind of synthesizer with Hopkins and Preston providing the piano and the clavinet. So a good example of ice cream flavors being mished together, and you've got something quite tasty. Lyrically, it's really, really interesting. Again, it's one of the great things that these English guys have been attuned to political things, and being able to reflect that back in the music, because if you guys haven't checked out the lyrics, it's about a totalitarian regime, that a la 1984, surveillance thing that's going on. Oh my gosh, what's happening in 2021? My God, oh my gosh, it's resonating anyway, still today with me. Love the song. Never used to like it. I'll be honest with you guys, for years, never liked it. Never liked it for years. It's only been the last 15 years of my life that I've fully appreciated it for what it is. Going to give the song a 10 out of 10. Interesting closer for an album. Interesting closer, but again, it just goes to show, again, the fact that the Rolling Stones can do. If they were missing a great producer that my co-hosts have said, they didn't give a shit. This is our album. We're going to do it our way, and we're going to end the album with this song, and we're going to drop it. Carl.
Are you there, Carl? Wait, Carl. Oh, I think he's frozen.
Carl. Brad, do you want to give us your...
Yeah, I'll go with mine.
Cool.
Hopefully Carl can come back. For me, I love this song. Absolutely adore it. Beautiful guitar intro. I love the guitar tone. I'm going to highlight the mastery of Charlie Watts here because of his passing. When he comes in and is playing, it's perfection to me. The song has swagger. The bass is moving around. The vocals are great. I love them. And this song has all the swagger that is classic Rolling Stones to me. I love the breakdown section. I love the wah guitar. And the moving bass line during the wah guitar section there and the breakdown. And this sounds like to me, I don't know if this is correct or not, but it sounds like a live performance. It's just got that energy of a live performance to me. And
probably.
I'm going to give the song a 20 out of 10. I love it. So, or Carl, whoever's next.
Carl, go on, Carl.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
Wow,
guys. I skipped out. I'm going to have to, unfortunately. I think I have a few technical problems, but what a great closer for an album. Real, like Andrew said, a real good funky feel. Just shows once again, the great versatility the Rolling Stones have, whether it be rock, country, blues, and now a great display of some really good funk. And it gives us quite a nice little prelude for Black and Blue, where the Stones are trying different things, expanding a little bit.
Yeah.
Getting away from just that straight 3-chord rock format that they do really well. And it's good to see them branch out into doing something very, very American influenced, let's face it, very American influenced, very Stevie Wondery, very funky, very, I think Simon mentioned the word Philadelphia, that Philadelphian groove. Obviously the Ain't Too Proud to Beg was their Motown sort of influence, but this is definitely very, very city, very funky, very urban. I like it. It's interesting. It's unique. It's a 10 out of 10. Never a skip.
Well, I couldn't agree more. For me, the name to evoke here is Sly and the Family Stone. I think, if you listen to Sly and the Family Stone stuff, that kind of, as Carl says, that kind of urban funk thing is this is where this is positioned, certainly musically. And a kind of a sort of precursor to what they did on Miss You and things, all that kind of disco-y type thing they did on Miss You, that I think is kind of ahead of its time in a funny kind of way. And also on Black and Blue as well, you can see they advanced more into that in this area in Black and Blue. A fantastic track, I think that laying down the groove and that typical kind of woozy Stones groove. I mean, I think it has that unique Stonesy kind of just slightly sort of that sort of, if that means anything as a description. But again, I'll point to the dropouts. Just you go down to choppy guitars and a bit of bass and some hi hat, just comes away, and the coda at the end, which is good night, sleep tight.
I forgot to mention
cool.
that.
Yeah. Well, that's what he said. It's funny. It's a typical a bit of Stones humour there. So 10 out of 10 from me. Absolutely, tremendous closer to the album, and never a skip. And I think one of the really interesting things of this album is that advancing into doing slightly different things, and I think that's really good. So yeah, kind of great.
Awesome. I want to pick up on one thing that Carl said and bring in what the Rock Professor and Brad have mentioned too in relation to this song. And some pennies dropped for me when I listened to this song, because I understood now the significance, and it took me 20, 30 years to appreciate it, the significance of where Ronnie Wood fitted in his tenure with the Rolling Stones, because Mick Taylor couldn't have done the albums that Ron Wood did. Now it might seem, of course he couldn't, because he's not Mick Taylor's not Ron Wood and Ron Wood's not Mick Taylor. But because we're music fans, I can appreciate where you guys might understand where I'm coming from. Because you can see with Black and Blue and Some Girls, you can see clearly that is Ron Wood. And for me, that's a great thing, because I'm not saying that I marginalize Ron Wood and his contribution to the Rolling Stones, but I see him now in the context of these albums, guys, only because of what I was doing with this album for the last 3 days, Brad and Simon and Carl.
Yeah. It's a good point. Very good point.
So, where do you guys... I'm not going to answer this. I'm going to go round table. We're going to go with Carl, Brad, and Simon. Where do you guys situate this album? Is it in your top 5 Stones or top 3 Stones albums?
Ooh.
Carl.
Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you.
We can now.
We
Did
can
you
hear
the
you.
question?
I can't hear Andrew.
Wait a minute.
He can't hear me, so maybe you guys can ask him the question. Can he hear you guys?
Carl.
Yeah, Carl, can you hear us? Yeah, okay. So the question is this in your top 5 Stones albums, top 3? Oh, he's gone.
Brad.
Look, it creeps into my top 5. My mind changes a little bit as you know, Andrew. My moods change, my energy changes, and then my favorites change. But it creeps into my top 5. Probably it would be 5 on a top 5 if it crept in. Yes, it wouldn't be up any further than it wouldn't be in my top 3. Definitely not. Simon.
Carl, so the question.
Can you see me?
The question is, I can hear you and see you. We can. So the question is this in your top 3 or your top 5? We can hear you, Carl.
Fuck.
Carl, can you hear us?
Oh!
I think someone's trying to ring him. I might just I'll just drop him out.
Right.
Simon, top 3, top 5.
I don't think it's in my top 5 even. probably not. I'm not going to put it above Sticky Fingers or Let It Bleed or Beggar's Banquet or Exile on Main Street.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. Probably not. Some girls probably go. These things are difficult. I think it's for me it's a bit of a transitionary album. Has some, them definitely kind of spreading out and sort of trying out some other areas of music and things. I like it a lot. It's a kind of personally one of the albums I go to when I want to do something a bit different to the Rolling Stones. And clearly it's only rock and roll. It's obviously just a classic. So I don't think I'd put it in my top 5 and not in my top 3. But that doesn't make it a bad record to me. I think the interesting thing about it is I like this record a lot, and I've given probably quite a lot of the songs kind of 8 out of 10 kind of thing. Not because I think it's as an album, it's kind of a bit of a transitionary thing. They're kind of searching for the next thing to do. That's fine, it doesn't make it a bad record in my books, and I really like it. But which is why I was going to choose it at some point as an album. But no, I don't think I put it in my top 5. To be honest, I don't think it. But I think the ones I've just outlined, I don't think Could you couldn't put it before Beggar's Banquet, would you?
No.
Or you wouldn't put it before Sticky Fingers, or Let It Bleed. Aftermath, possibly. It's kind of, I think that would be difficult for me to do that as an album. But Andrew, would you put it in the top 5?
No, it's not a masterpiece. It's not a masterpiece
Get
at all.
your
It's a great-
yah-yahs out.
Yeah, it's a great album. It's a great rock and roll album, but it's not a masterpiece. It's not in my top 5. It's not even in my top 7. But I do listen to it about half a dozen times a year. It's definitely on rotation during summertime, during my vacation, because that's when I get my Stones groove on. It's during my summer holidays. I listen to all the albums, Exile on Main Street, repeatedly, Beggar's Banquet, Sticky Fingers, Simon. It's on permanent play, Let It Bleed, Get Your Yayas Out, Tattoo You, which is coming up to another anniversary, Some Girls, as you said. There's some great albums, Voodoo Lounge, some of the later stuff. I put
Babylon.
Great album. It's a great rock and roll album, but it's not a masterpiece. So, does it have gaps and holes? Well, yeah. But the Rolling Stones, Simon, can afford to do. They've got nothing to prove in 1974 and 1975. They are the Glimmer Twins. They've come out. They've broadcasted that name. The multi-millionaires, Simon. They've conquered the world. They're getting ready for the 75 World Tour, aren't they? Anything and everything that the Rolling Stones have done is from this album on is purely for themselves, if that makes any kind of sense, in a selfish kind of way.
Yeah. Oh no, it does completely. I understand that, and I think that as a as a band, any band, the Rolling Stones, you kind of, you have to kind of reinvent yourself to some extent, don't you? You're always searching for something new to do. You can't just, do another version of Exile on Main Street. Much so you as a band, they move on, they evolve, they change, don't they? You get, you go and record in Jamaica, you get influences that you wouldn't get if you were recording in Memphis, and I think it's, that this is an example of them moving right along, moving along to their, where they are basically, and then it's the next thing on their list. Could I just say one thing about it? Just one of the things that I like to see. So this is its first album's in '63, the Rolling Stones. That's right, and this is '74. This is their 12th album in 11 years. that's and one of them's a double. That's a pretty prodigious rate of production. Of albums, and so many of those are classics. This is for me. This is not a classic. It's a really good album. Solid Stones album, and I think it's worth recognizing that level of creativity. They put into it. From the first one, 63, to this one in 74. It's 11 years, 12 albums, 11 years. That's whacking it out. 120
and it also
songs.
gave them
Wow.
It also gave them the confidence, I think, to Simon and Brad to branch out with Some Girls, for example, and start laying down some really good that's where they start perfecting it. They're touching upon it on this album, aren't they? And we've scored it accordingly. That there are what is it, the evolving aspect of the Stones. So, but in 74, if you heard this in 74, Simon, well, you're obviously listening to it from a different perspective. You're listening to it, as because they're still part of that whole rock and roll thing of the greatest rock and roll in the band in the world. But when I heard this album, it was in contrast to all the other colours that Brad likes to remind us of. That music is about colours, and that's a great analogy, because you look at this album here. What would you paint this colour? And then you go into some of these other albums. You've come out of some darker colours, and then you're into some bright, and then you're going to get some brighter colours with Some Girls. So. And Black and Blue again, where they start doing disco. Smart band. And that's one of the reasons why we do this show, isn't it? Because a lot of these guys that we love to talk about, smart guys. And one other thing too, guys, they're just music fans as well. So they're hearing shit that they're listening to, like Sly and the Family Stone that you said. So they're going, oh, we like this.
Yep.
So they're doing what Brad's doing. When Brad released his album, he's done half a dozen shows with us where he's talked about Hendrix. And he goes, I'm not doing this when I'm recording it and writing it, but when I'm listening to it, I'm going, shit, I can hear Cream there. I can hear Hendrix there. But I'm not, honest to God, when I'm doing it, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
But we get it.
No. Yeah, you're not saying, I'm going to do a bit of Hendrix now, are you?
No.
Just doing what you're doing, and then if it turns up sounding like something else, then
my opinion on this album is it's more of a timestamp for the Stones. It's a timestamp, and that all albums are anyway. It's a timestamp. They were in that period of like transition again, and there was I have to give credit where credit's due to the Stones. They write songs with hooks in them. Whether it's your favorite Stones songs or not, they always make you want to become part of the song, like sing along with it or something, or be part of it. They're not actually dismissing people in the songs. And that's, when I say that, I mean that like putting a hook in the song to grab you in. Dance Little Sister Dance. You can't not want to sing to that once you start listening to it. That's what I'm getting at. So it's a remarkable thing the Stones have done for decades with their songwriting. And it just goes to show you that sometimes keeping it simple is the best way. And not saying that the Stones songs are simple, but the simple analogy, the keep it simple, stupid mentality of writing a hook for a song is actually really hard to do. And they do it so well.
Well, it's a British thing. Yeah. It's a British thing, because we've been listening to British music for a long time, Simon. So for me, being a Kiwi, it's a British thing because I listen to Kiwi, music, obviously Aussie music, British music, and American music. But I think these English guys have got this great ability to just, keep it simple, not overproduce it. And sorry for interrupting, Simon, but I'm just going to say I'm thankful for this album for one song, Time Waits for No One. That's the standout song always. So the song has a masterpiece, contains one masterpiece amongst some pretty good songs. Simon, sorry I interrupted you.
No, it's always fine. No, I agree, and I think that that part of the Stones is and always has been entrenched in that kind of pop hooks thing, isn't it? They went through the '60s. They wrote Satisfaction. No greater hook than Satisfaction, than that riff in Satisfaction, and all those guitar riffs that they did write in the '60s. They know what a good hook is, and they understand. And I agree with you. The thing about this basic thing about this album is they're all hooky songs. They absolutely they've got cool stuff about them, and they haul you in, and as Brad says, make you part of the song. And I think that even though as I say, I think this is probably in an album sense, this is probably some kind of 7 out of 10 album kind of thing. But actually, that doesn't make it a bad album. It makes it just slightly less prominent than the other ones. And the other ones, as we've discussed, are really prominent because they're bona fide rock classics. Exile on Main Street is a by anybody's is an absolute classic, and so you're judging it against that, and it's not that. But whenever you go back and listen to it, you go, I really like this album. It's really good. It's got some great songs on it, and I've enjoyed listening to it over the last couple of days. In the car and stuff like that. And I think that's the mark of a good album. I never didn't look forward to listening to it. I've got it. I look forward to listening to it, playing it in my car because it's fun.
Oh yeah. Look, I agree with you. I never, Simon, when I had the record and the CD, I never got disappointed. Because knowing that I'm, when I used to put it in the slot, I think because it was always a good thing. It's a great driving album, it's a great summer album. Yeah, I love it. But I'm just going to repeat myself. I'm sorry, but it's not a masterpiece. It's a great album. Not in my top 5 at all, and it never will be. Even on a good day, Brad, it'll never be in my top 5.
No, but that means the top 5 are really top. not that this, for a lot of other bands, this would be a really great record for them, But the Stones have such high standards and they produced such high quality work that it's not in the top 5. But that doesn't make it a bad album. But, it's worth investigation. Probably a bit of a, Brad, as you got a bit of a deeper dive into their catalogue, bit of that layer down, and but it does contain at least 1 or 2 classic Stone songs, and some good experiments. Some things that don't necessarily, especially in hindsight, necessarily come off brilliantly, but I have no, I think Ain't Too Proud to Beg is fine as a cover version, I was going wrong with it at all. As I say, we would have done it like that in the band I played in for a long time, but exactly that's what we would have done to it.
One of the reasons why I like that song so much, and it's burnt in my mind because I'm an old fart, and I remember when when that film came out, the one which got stars William Hurt, and come on, Simon, come on, you're an oldie like me.
What?
What's the film, Brad?
You're not giving me much to go on. A film starring William Hurt.
Hold on. He was a drug dealer at college. William Hurt.
I don't know. I'm not great on
what he's referring to, so I'm staying out of this.
Yeah, well done. I don't know.
Big Chill.
Big Chill.
Yeah. So it's got that. Yeah, The Big Chill. So it's got that song on it, and they're in the kitchen and they're cooking and they're doing all that kind of stuff. Great album. Great soundtrack album. Great film.
Can you do that again? Can you do your impersonation of cooking and hey, look at that.
You can come and cook. You can come and cook in my kitchen anytime, Andrew. You're gonna dance like that.
Things ain't cooking in my kitchen.
That's a good show. That's a good show for us to do later on down the track when we decide maybe not to do a Rankin the Tracks album, top 3 Stones albums or top 5 Stones albums, and why? Why? You know, that might be something that we could consider. You know, I would love to hear why Simon thinks. 'Cause I know that we've done Exile on Main Street. I know we've done the rankings on that. You know, but you know, it's always good to find out why Brad thinks Exile on Main Street is number 2 versus, you know,
Ting.
Thank you very much, Alan. I appreciate that kind comment.
He isn't old, is he, Ellen? I agree.
It's all in here. And one day these young guys will get it. Hey,
the little grey cells.
Hey, Simon, one day these young guys will get it. That age is only in here.
This one. This one here. The young fella.
Carl's just messaged me. He won't be back. He's got technical issues. I know that he watches our show. I know that he does, and he supports our show with some thumbs up. So, Carl, when you're watching this, thank you, brother, for your insights. As usual, we appreciate your involvement with anything that we do here on the channel. So, one day when you get your gear all set up and you can jump on and you can run a couple of shows for us, that'll be great, because you're a wealth of musical knowledge. I know it. Simon knows it, and Brad knows it, and anyone else that's a regular on the channel knows it too. So
that was was getting the band back together, wasn't it, with Carl on?
Yeah. Rock Professor, I'm going to get you to say goodbye to everybody, if that's okay. We're doing Black Sabbath next week, so that cat's already out of the bag. But
Vol 4.
Well, there might be some questions around that, so you'd have to go to Brad's. There's a question that we're going to ask in relation to this album for you guys to get entry into the chat. So go to Brad's story.
Entry into the chat. What's this a turnstile question? You can't come in to answer the question.
No, we'd never do that. We'd never do that. We would never have a rule that you have to subscribe to the channel to be part of our chat. We would never do that. Just go and follow Brad. Easy. Brad Cook Music, guys. Simon, the Rock Professor. Simon Williams, 33. Kurt, our co-host on the 5150 show, who watches the replays. So shout out to Kurt. Kurt S, 5150. Follow him there. Simon, if you want to say goodbye to the cats in the chat. Brad, you can say goodbye. Hang around, guys, because there's a couple of things I want to talk to you guys after the show, please, in the green room.
No worries. Yeah. So thanks to Johnny Heartbreaker. Lots of good stuff. Ellen as well. Ellen and Helen have been having a great chat in the chat, which is really nice.
I've
really
noticed
nice
that.
indeed.
I've been throwing the comments up.
Yeah, lovely. That's been really cool. So thanks to Ellen and Helen. glad it's 9:30 here.
Thanks, Johnny.
Jazz Thunder 50. That's been really cool. Yeah, Johnny, thanks for that, mate. Who we had? We've had Arvin. We've had lots of Deja Voodoo as well. Deja, thanks for dropping by. I booted myself out at some point, so I may not get everybody, but just under 50. Crappy Luxury, of course, he popped in as well. Crappy Luxury, thanks for that, Crappy. Pride of Gothenburg as well. Good morning. Tim Thomas, Philip Myers as well, from Christchurch. Charmaine Taylor and Stephen Fish. Okay, I've gone back to the beginning. So hopefully I got everyone. Thanks everyone for joining, and hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you next week for Black Sabbath Volume 4.
Awesome.
Have a good
week.
And
we might even
take care.
We might even do a midweek special early in the week, because I think I might go back to work Tuesday. So, Brad, you want to say goodbye? Because you got the final words, brother.
Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us again. We encourage and look forward to seeing you guys on the Black Sabbath show. We're excited about that one. I've done a bit of preparation for that already, so it's looking to be a good one. And we'll shouts out to Charlie Watts again. Rest in
peace, Charlie.
Yes, rest in peace, and God bless. And Warren, all the best again, brother. We look forward to having you in the chat, and all the best to you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool.